You found affordable trading. I'm Don Singletary, and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be asking you a question before we start with the featured trade of the week. Have you ever sat in front of your screen at your trading computer and done nothing else for an entire half hour? Whole 30 minutes goes by, and you have not made a trade. Now, whether your answer is yes or no is not a deal breaker either way, but it will say a lot about what expectations you carry into day trading the micros. So we'll be talking about that after today's trade, which starts right now. Trade date on this one is 26th of October, 2022. Going to be trading the S&P 500, $5 a point, and as always, the candlesticks hit 5-minute increments, and the MACD in the lower pane. As highlighted in yellow, the first half hour of the day is pretty flat, and then at 10 o'clock, the market turns into an uptrend for the next hour. Notice in the lower pane how the green and red lines come off the zero line and begin their divergence. Now, before I go any further in the setup for this trade, I want to let you know, I already said the trade date on this thing is October 26, 2022. The Feds are raising interest rates. There's rampant talk of a recession either here or already coming, nobody quite knows. And Dow swings of 500 and 600 points a day in either direction have been very, very common, especially in the last month. It's a time for caution. That may explain why I waited so long to get into this trade. These are tricky times to trade, and rule number one is always protect your capital. An important part of the trade selection is situational awareness. I'm going to zoom in on the upper frame there. In the last hour, the market's come from 38.40 all the way up to 38.83. At $5 a point, 43 points, that's a change of $215 in the last hour. I'm going to enter this trade at 11:06. Look at the most recent 5 minutes, 11 to 11:05. It's changed 10 points. That's a change of $50 in the last 5 minutes. Now, no way I'm going to risk an entire $50 on a small trade like this. My whole premise for the trade is that a big trend is going on. I just want to carve out a few dollars profit in a very short trade, perhaps a few seconds or a few minutes, and I'm willing to risk a $20 stop loss to do it. I know the time, magnitude, and direction of the trend. Do I know it's going to keep going? I do not. It reminds me of when I was a child learning to fly a kite. A gust of wind comes up, and I launch the kite. It isn't rocket science. Now, if you're beginning or trying to learn more about this type of trading, let me offer you some light at the end of the tunnel. The way you learn to quantify and identify trends like this is by practicing it again and again. You want to verify that you're getting better at finding a trend that you can try to carve out a few bucks with. Your brain will trick you. Many times you'll think you see something in a pattern in a chart, and it really isn't there. Like you look into the clouds and you see a face or an animal. You know it isn't there, and yet your brain puts it all together and tells you what you think you're seeing. Your brain can trick you. It can cost you a lot of money. Don't let it do it. So how can you do it? Do what I did when I set up this trade. I'm not saying it's fail-proof because you're still going to lose 40% of your trades. But what I am saying is make sure that that trend that you're trying to trade, whether it's up or down, is actually real. Do what I did. Measure it. Verify it. And make sure that your brain isn't feeding you some fool's gold. In my book, I have a chapter on trading psychology, and I talk about how through evolution we learned to find patterns. It was the way we got out of the caves and got onto the internet, because our brains have this terrifically fast ability to find patterns in almost everything. The problem is the patterns are not always real. You have to learn to verify them. This has nothing to do with how smart you are. Watch this. You have that $8 billion computer between your ears, and half of its mass is dedicated to finding patterns. The brain can play a lot of tricks on you. I have a nephew who's a baseball coach, a batter coach, and after a batter hits 2 home runs, it's his job to remind that batter that his confidence is high, and he's more likely to take a bad pitch his next time at bat. Well, trading works like that too. After a couple of winning trades, we are Well, we're confident, and that's a good thing. But also, we have to be aware that that confidence can make us take a swing at a bad pitch. Now, let's get back to the featured trade of the week here. We're going to do the setup with a bracket order. I'm going to click on the ask price, and that will buy a contract. Then the circle in the bracket there, and I take my mouse and slide the bracket over to the left and hit the chart screen, and voila, there we go. We're all set to go. Market's trading about 38.85 right now, and I go down to fill in my stop market loss price here at 38.80. That's about 5 or 6 points below where I'm going to buy the contract. I'm going to get back to that in a minute and reconsider that decision. I put my target up arbitrarily at 38.95. Market doesn't care what I wish for, but I put it there anyway. It's really nice to have those built-in calculators in the Tastyworks software. Makes reaction time a little bit faster for many people. Okay, notice the sequence of events here. The first thing I did was find a gust of wind, launch my kite. Now my job is to begin reducing the risk on this trade at every single opportunity. So I take out my Tastyworks mouse, reach up there, click and drag with that left mouse button, and I move my stop up from 38.82, and I move it up just a little bit. We're trading 38.87 and a half or so, and I move the stop up to 38.8375, which means I've reduced the risk on this trade from 20 down to now $11.25. You often see me in the videos adjust the calibration, the scale on my screen. That's because I want to try to make a screen that's going to be easy to read here in the video. 4 minutes, end of a trade. And by the way, if you're going to move your scale, practice that. Don't learn during a trade. You don't have to have a trade on to do it. Just bring it up and practice moving that scale up and down so you know exactly how it works. Now, if you haven't figured it out yet, you can contact the customer service at Tastyworks. Great people. They'll help you out. You know, this is a highly leveraged, risky kind of trade. And if you think you're making mistakes every time you don't make money, that's wrong. It's not true. You can do everything right, and you're still going to lose around 40% of your trades. Now, what I've done on this trade is what you should do when you trade. I kept the risk down to $11.25. Now, I've been in this trade 5 minutes. I'm only up $5. Nothing spectacular about that at all. But I have no control over that. I do have control over how much risk I allow this trade to accumulate for me. Okay, now consider this. It happens a lot. For 5 minutes, I hold this trade. It's break even. Then in 37 seconds, it goes from break even up to plus $20. Now I'm trading up at 38.90, and I got my left mouse button out, Tastyworks mouse there, and I'm moving that stop up again because I want to reduce the risk on this trade. That's my job. You see, I don't have any control over how much money I may or may not make on the trade, but I do control the risk. So I take my Tastyworks mouse and I move my stop up, and I fix this trade right now up at 38.87 here. I'm going to inch it up just a little bit more to 38.87. So now worst thing can happen is I'm going to make $5, but I can't lose a thing. So I got kind of a free trade going here. I know nothing's free, but that's the way I like to think about it. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I want to tell you something about my expectations for this trade. I'm $20 up now, and I don't expect I'm going to give back all of that $20. So I'm going to go and grab my Tastyworks mouse again. I'm up to a $25 profit there. I hit 38.91. And the last thing in the world I want to do is take all this time, this 8 minutes I've spent here on this trade, eliminating the risk, and then give all my unrealized gains back. So yeah, if this trade's not going to show me any more money, I'll take what I got and call it quits. Okay, let's keep it real. $20 is not going to change your life, but if I were trading the regular size E-mini, 10 times greater in size, I would be up $200, and I'd probably go back and lock in at least 150 of that because I don't want to give it back. Well, this channel, that's what we do here. We're training you so you can scale up, and you have to develop the habits you'll need all along the way as you go. So This $20 profit on a trade is a big deal. Remember the beginning of this trade, our maximum risk was $20. Well, if you weren't trading Micro E-minis, that risk would have been $200. So the Micro E-minis are absolutely a big deal. And making $20 on this trade is a big deal because you're learning how to trade. You have to learn how to protect your money, how to last, how to keep your expectations real, and then have the self-discipline and the patience to be able to follow through. And this type of trading has a very high failure rate. For almost all people, starting off trading and having to risk $200 just to try and learn the game is a preposterous thought. Let me put it this way. If you were going to be a high diver, are you going to start at 200 feet or at 20 feet? I rest my case. Now, what just happened there was I moved my stop up to 38.90, got stopped out for a $20 profit. The Micro E-minis came about in May of 2019. Less than 4 months later, I recognized how great these were going to be. They've traded 2 billion contracts, broken all kinds of records, because now learning to trade futures is something that's affordable for hundreds of thousands, probably millions of people, that there were no products to trade where you could actually learn how to trade before you had to start that high diving lesson at 200 feet, if you know what I'm saying. So I started the channel, I wrote the book. In the first chapter, I explain how as a school teacher, I lost over $500 in 30 seconds on my first trade. And I never have forgotten that because it was a very long road to learn how to trade. Well, the Micro E-minis have changed all that. Take a look at my book. It's not a long book because I'm only teaching how to trade the Micro E-minis, not all of futures and all of the big 300-400 page books that are going to teach you about the history and the evolution of futures trading. I get right to the point, and it'll cost you a little bit less than a large pizza, I think, and I hope you'll check it out. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you want to see more videos that are similar to this one. I use those likes as kind of votes by the subscribers here on the channel, and it helps me make the videos that I think are going to be the most help for you, so I'd appreciate it if you could do that, and thank you. I'm Don Singletary. Micro E-minis are great. I never even imagined they would be so much fun, too. So join us, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next week. I hope every day is a payday for you. And thank you.